2, 3. We're on. Who everyone is a Drunk and Disorderly podcast brought to you by, North Spokane CBD. So we still have our affiliate link with North Spokane CBD. Enter discount code DRUNK at checkout to get 15% off. Helps us, helps them, helps you. Everybody wins. That's libertarianism, baby. Everybody. Yeah. That's all I got. Dre, take it away.
That's it?
Dude,
Jesus, I wasn't even able to share the watch party. That's fine. All right.
No, I'll go for another minute. I can do my set that I just wrote. You ready?
Are you ready?
All right,
I'm ready.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So we had a great time here this weekend, the Nebraska State Convention. We had some really great speakers, and we created a new elected a new SCC that I'm not a part of, but our SCC is very, very capable and experienced, and they do great work here. And I was so energized hearing just all the numbers and how fast that they have sprung up exponentially here in the state. So that makes me a happy gal. Unfortunately, I woke up Sunday morning to someone reporting my name to Facebook. Just know you're a piece of shit, whoever you are that did that. And I think you're a giant pussy. Anyway, so we are going to have a little debate here for the Iowa State chair. We've got Fred Perryman and Mike Connor Jr. for joining us. Their convention is happening in 2 weeks, guys. 3?
But on the 28th and 29th.
I'm so excited. We will be there. Mike, why don't you tell us about everybody else who is going to be there?
Absolutely. We got a big lineup. First of all, of course, we have Joshua Smith of LNC at large currently, and he's running for chair of the LNC. Marco Battaglia is going to be speaking. Thomas Lane, who is a Greene County attorney. He's one of Iowa's first partisan libertarian elected officials, is going to be there. But I think the big most of the attention is going to be on the presidential forum. It's moderated by Cedar Rapids Gazette Adam Sullivan. Soraya Foss is going to be there. Lincoln Chafee, Dan Berman. We have Ivan Kokesh, Hornberger, of course, who just won big this last weekend. Sam Robb, Mark Whitney just announced not too long ago. Joe Jacobson, Max Abramson, and Ken Armstrong, all going to be there for a forum. We're excited to have that going on.
That's amazing. You guys, that is 10 people running for president. Tune in.
All right here in Central Iowa.
That's awesome. I'm so excited. That's going to be a great thing. We're really looking forward to that. So should we jump right in, guys?
Sounds good to me.
All right. This is my first time doing one of these, so bear with me. Okay. So this would be a rough thing for me if anybody from my high school was following and gave a shit about what I do in politics. What little skeletons would you guys have in your closets from your high school years?
I don't know about any skeleton. I'm more of a straight-laced guy. I'm from a small farm town here in Iowa. Grew up on a farm. I think we all did a bunch of gravel travel at late nights. But really, that's about it. I played football, clean cut. Made some mistakes probably in my post-high school, college years, but I think that's the time when everybody wants to get those mistakes out of the way when it comes to drinking and stuff like that. But from a legal standpoint, probably the biggest thing they're going to find is the fact that I got arrested for not returning a video to a video store.
You are kidding.
I was on my first date with my ex-wife. We were driving down the street. Next time I know, I get pulled over. So I'm thinking, okay, that's fine. And I have 4 county sheriffs surrounding me, ordering me out of the car. They had no idea. They just saw I had a warrant out for my arrest. I forgot to return Airplane, of all movies. And just sitting in my truck, completely forgot about it. And then, they got a good chuckle out of it, but they had to send me to jail. My future wife came down and threw my bail at 3:00 in the morning, and rest was history.
That's crazy that sparked a warrant. Like, did the fees just pile up to exponential amounts or something?
No, I mean, it was a matter of fact that it was a small town video store. They wanted to make an example And so, and as a matter of fact, my brother went into it about a month or so after the arrest, and they had a sign up that says, "We will prosecute if you don't return your movies." And he pointed the sign into the court and said, "That's true." And says, "Do you know who the guy who did it?" I'm like, well, yeah, he's my brother. So they just wanted to make an example of what it amounted to.
Oh, geez. All right. Fred, what about you?
I don't think there'd be anything surprising. I've pretty much been the same guy I've always been. So anybody who's known me from high school doesn't expect anything different from me now.
Gotcha. I think that's pretty common, hopefully. So since this is the Drunken Disorderly podcast, this will come up every single time we have a guest on. What are your thoughts on nuclear energy? Fred, you can go ahead and start this time.
I mean, I like nuclear energy, but of course, might be a little bit biased. My father's actually a nuclear power. He just retired. He was a nuclear power plant operator for like 25 years. So,
oh wow.
So I've been since I was young, explained all the benefits of nuclear energy, and just always kind of been under that train of thought. So,
well, that's a unique upbringing. That's pretty cool.
And I'm all for it as well. I think it's a good, clean type of energy if done right. I'm all for it. If we want to find ways for the free market to expand on our energy resources, that's one of the best ways to do it.
All right. Okay. All right. How do you guys feel about a state booster club?
About a what now?
A state booster club.
As in like fundraiser, like a booster club and fundraising. I think that'd be a tough one. I honestly haven't put any thought into a booster club. I think from a standpoint of the state central committee, the state leadership, the board, I think we should be in charge of fundraising. We should have individuals in place to help out with the fundraising. But more importantly, I think there's areas of opportunity, at least here in Iowa anyway, to expand that out to rural areas. If that's something that can help us grow our base and fundraising base in rural Iowa, the outside of the metropolitan areas, I'd be for it, looking at depending on the structure. But I think we just need to make sure that we keep our nose clean, and I think there's probably more important things that we need to focus on at this point, anyway, in the state.
Okay, Fred.
I definitely like that booster club idea. I mean, I'm all about trying to get some more fundraising. There's a lot of things that we could do if we had a little bit more fundraising. So when it comes to what we have done, I would like to take any opportunity to think outside the box, try to raise additional funds, because it helps on multiple layers. Like, being able just to have a centralized way to be like, hey, we've got this fundraising that's going to be raising this much, and then we can help adjust our budgets accordingly, and especially get some of that down to local candidates. I think would be hugely beneficial to the party as a whole.
Okay.
Real quick, we have watch parties all over the place. If you have a question for the candidates, you need to come to the Drunken Disorderly page, either our YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook, so that you can ask your questions and we can see them, and we will try to get audience questions as we go.
Alrighty. Okay, so let's see here. These are some questions that were submitted to me by some Iowans. How comfortable are you in front of a camera, a news camera, and a live stream?
I actually love doing that. I've been on, several different television, radio, newspaper interviews. I think a lot of times when, you put a face to it that somebody's comfortable talking about whatever the issues, whether local, state, or federal issues, makes it a little bit more believable than just kind of going through and screening something. So I think that's an important thing that we do, is, part of that branding, that messaging. And, I actually enjoy all the opportunities that I've had so far, and I look forward to having more in the future.
Yeah, I agree. I'm very comfortable with it. I think it's important that we are out there in front of the cameras, in front of the media. We may have to solicit them to do that, but we need to do whatever we can to get out there and get our names out, get the party out there, and spread our message. I have no problem at all getting in front of a camera. As a matter of fact, I was just in front of a microphone earlier last weekend during the caucus. for a radio interview. So, I mean, it's just a matter of getting that out there, getting our information. And I have no problem whatsoever getting in front of the camera.
Okay, so in that same vein, another question was, so will you be an active spokesperson to the media and do op-eds and interviews as often as possible?
You absolutely need to. I think it's vital that we're getting out. Like I just mentioned at the caucus, I sent out press releases to all media within my county to get some attention on it. And it worked out. We had a 7% turnout here in Marion County for our caucus, which compared to the 1.9% statewide, that's pretty good number. And a lot of that is attributed to getting it out there, getting a press release, speaking to the news. I did an interview back in January with the with the radio to try to drum up support and drum up attention for the caucus. I know that of the people that attended the caucus in person, the 3 of them were brand new. That's how they found out about it. They didn't follow the page. They weren't following, receiving any emails from the outside of the Libertarian Party. They found out about through the interview, through the news sources. So if we're going to recruit, we need to have, press releases. We need to be in the newspaper. We need to be out in front of everybody, and that's how we're going to do it.
Good.
Definitely agree with you on that. Like I said, I've kind of grown out my my media contacts, so usually it doesn't take too much for me to be able to get at least local media, whether it's like I said, the newspaper or television or radio to follow us, and like I said, get interviews when needed. Like we had the special election last year. The more that we do it, the more comfortable they are with it, because they seem to get positive feedback and responses, and it does generate questions from other people that maybe wouldn't have called their show or something along those lines. So I found that the media is pretty open. Once you get your foot in the door, they seem to enjoy having us come back.
Awesome. Well, that's good to hear. I didn't catch that, Zach. Did you mean to do that?
No, I didn't. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. All right. Okay, more Iowa folks questions for you guys. What will you do to help Libertarians participate in local events such as parades, county fairs, and other booth events? I forgot who we're on. I'm sorry.
I believe it's Fred this time around. I can go.
All right.
I mean, again, that's something that we definitely need to work on. I think the biggest thing that we need to do, other than just obviously making the effort to do it, is try to expand where we're doing it at, not always going to the same places all the time. So yes, you're going to get some traction going if you're doing booths and parades and that kind of a thing. But if we're only focusing on 1 or 2 cities, we're only going to grow in 1 or 2 cities. Kind of one of the things that I've been looking at as a whole that I'd like to see our party do going forward is trying to expand out and focus on other areas that have either been neglected or maybe just not given the attention that they needed. Just to make sure that we're not just pigeonholing ourselves into 1 or 2 spots.
And I would agree with that. As a matter of fact, you're going to hear me talk about county affiliates a lot, probably during this debate. That's been my primary focus during my tenure as a 2nd District representative. We've built quite a network of county leaders. And I think being able to network with these individuals, be able to have resources for these individuals to come out there and grow their county parties. So that way we have those resources available to come over and say, hey, we're going to have a parade over here in Oskaloosa. Can you come over and join us, help us out, really excite the crowd, get people excited about libertarianism. And I think that we need to have that type of growth across the board. We need to have district representatives that are going to lead by example and in the end, create these leaders. And it all starts at the county level. It all starts at building those affiliates. And those parades will come. It's going to take some time, though. I think our priority is, of course, getting that leadership in place and training that leadership so that way we can have those type of resources available to us.
Very good. Okay. So next question is, how can you ensure smooth caucuses, convention, and fundraising events with a large chunk of Iowans SCC not running for election this year?
I personally think that we have an opportunity to, even though they may not all be running, I think it's a great opportunity for us to find new leadership. I know from at least my experience down here in the second district, we have a number of people. I can rattle them off right now: Brandon Molyneux, Clyde Gibson, Gordon Stewart, people that are truly great leaders in their county. It's about how can we get them to be excited about getting into the SEC, about being at leadership at the state level. And I think a lot of them are. But we also have to recruit. We have to be able to set examples. We have to be able to set the goals for each individual. And I think part of that is to have a plan in place for those district leaders. We have somebody that coming in, let's say from the first district, that wants to step up, be a leader. If I am lucky enough to be the chair, I have to be able to be that leader for them and help educate them and guide them along and say, this is what worked for me down here in the second district. This is what I did. This is how we in the second district had 2.3% participation from registered libertarians during this last caucus on Saturday. Like I said, that's above the state average. There was counties, the ones that we're organized in, that we have affiliate, or even if we don't have an affiliate, but we're actually creating affiliates in. 3 brand new counties that didn't have affiliates that now do. 10%, 7%, 6%. So we're starting to see that participation. How can we educate the rest of them and build that core group of individuals? So it's about training. It's about finding the people that want to step up and put in the work, do the legwork for it.
Okay. Fred?
Definitely agree with all that. At the same time, I look at it this way. I mean, sometimes when you have kind of a rotation, you also get you fresh ideas. So there might be people that, have a really good idea, just never had a chance to really, expand on that or to communicate that with other people. That when you do have kind of a rotation in leadership, more people start talking. It's not this, like if there wasn't a debate right now, we might not have the ideas that either I have or Mike has coming out there, and then people talking about those ideas, expanding on those ideas, because there wasn't anyone discussing them to begin with. So it gets us out of being complacent and kind of moving us forward.
I would totally agree with that too. Okay. So in the same vein, how will you deal with the large turnover of the state central committee this year? So I guess for those of us who don't know, is there going to be a lot of open seats that people are not running for to refill?
Right now, from the way it sounds, that seems to be the case. There does seem like most district reps, if not all of them, would be up for to be filled by new individuals. I've already been speaking to a number of people that I know are good quality leaders that I've seen at the county level in all districts, and seeing what they're doing, say, hey, this would be a great opportunity for you to step up and do a little bit more for the state. We have to be actively recruiting these individuals. We can't expect them to just come out to the convention and say, you know what, I'll go ahead and do it. And that's why I announced back in November that I was going to run for the state chair, because I want to get people excited about it and try to lead by example. Come out, go speak to these counties. I've already done multiple county meetings where I've come out, spoken to them either via phone or in person, and explained why I'm running for the state chair. And a lot of that is about, not necessarily about me, but about getting some excitement about people, showing that we need leaders. We need people who want to step up. And even if they may say, you know what, I can't do it right now, that's great. But at least they know that option is available. And then leave it up to those districts to find the right people to put in place. Hopefully those people will run. If they don't get elected, that's fantastic. We'll have new individuals coming in. Maybe we'll have some of those tenured individuals coming in. But we have to be able to come together, work as a team, and we can't do that without the proper leadership at all levels.
I think you're right on track with getting people excited about it. I've been to this, before, and sometimes people are like, well, if nobody's going to do it, I guess I'll do it, kind of situations. And, I appreciate when people, step up and take on that role, but if they don't really want to do it, let's not put somebody in a position to do something they don't want to do, because then they're not going to want to build on it, not going to, and it's nothing against them. They're helping out by, last second being like, okay, fine, I'll fill this role. But it'd be better if somebody wants to go out there and do it so that they can be more excited about it, and then like generate, like I said, generate new ideas and excitement level that just helps recruit people in. I mean, you can have, the recruiting thing is huge. I found that like when I started doing stuff locally, like I'd go down to the college and hang out like at their lunch area for a while. There's a lot of misconceptions that they even get taught in school about what libertarianism is. And so they'll kind of be like, oh, well, isn't that just this? Or, you're like, whoa, where are you getting your information from there? Let me talk to you a little bit, and then they go, oh, well, I agree with all that. I was like, yeah, and it doesn't take that much time, if but you got to find people who have that time and, that want to be able to go do that. And then, like I said, in every county, every city, and like I said, try to expand in every direction instead of just kind of going down the same path and just being happy with what we get.
Okay, totally. So what are some other positions you guys have held? Fred?
I mean, I'm an alternate for the county, but I haven't had any like real roles per se at the state level. I was going to be a national delegate, but ended up not being able to go last time around. But I've been doing a lot of local just politics in general. That's been pretty much sucking up most of my time. But it has helped, like you said, get those connections and, like I said, the relationships with media and different activist groups and voting groups and things like that. That then, and then even more fun being able to meet with candidates. It's, I've invited one of the guy that did win the city council seat. He's actually registered as an independent, and it's reaching out to even people like that. Like, hey, now that you are an elected official, you actually did agree with me on all these principles. These are libertarian principles. And like, oh, well, tell me more. And that's what I've kind of been doing instead of having an actual leadership role in the party itself.
Well, that's definitely important.
Right. And I've also been working on the SCC as a second district representative currently. I have experience working at the Polk County Central Committee from a Republican standpoint back before my libertarian, before I was a libertarian. Also looking at leadership from in the private industry standpoint. I've been a manager of individuals both at the corporate level, at a small business level. I take a look at how we need to structure the party. And I think a lot of that goes back to how would you structure a business? You have to have those leaderships going up from the top down to the bottom and working together as a cohesive team. As Fred mentioned, I also ran city council this last fall. That was my first time running for office. I've worked with other campaigns as well, worked with the Fred Thompson campaign in 2008. Currently, I'm working with the Jacob Hornberger campaign. Fred Hoiberg, he's his coach, isn't he? Jacob Hornberger campaign. And so I'm very active with the party, very active with libertarianism in general. And I think that just looking at the work that I've been trying to do in the second district, I think it's been very successful. And I want to be able to bring that to throughout all of Iowa, not just Southeast section.
Awesome. Okay. Let's go on to the next question. Are there some issues that the state party should not have an official opinion on?
Well, you're always going to have those issues like abortion. That's always that hot button issue. I think when it comes to that, we have to be careful in that regards. I have my own personal opinions. A lot of other people have personal opinions on that. I think when it comes down to it, it's about individual decisions, whether they stand for it or not. It's always hot, a hot button issue. So I think that if there was one, that would probably be right up there.
Yeah. Fred, what about you? What do you think?
I mean, I don't think that we should necessarily neglect issues per se. If there's answers that are, like you said, the hot button topics that you don't want to try to push too much, it's just going to an overall principle on what you believe. I think that when you shy away from specific issues, then you get that same kind of like, I don't really know what this is, and then then people look it up, and then they if you're not going to give them their answer directly, they go to another source to get it. And do you trust that source, or do you trust the words coming out of your own mouth? So, depending on what it is, I mean, again, everybody's going to have their different opinions, and there's different flavors of libertarianism, so not everybody's always going to agree on everything. We argue amongst each other a lot, but that doesn't mean that the same principles that we all believe in aren't really the same when it comes down to like the core issues.
Very true. That's funny you say that there's so many flavors. That was brought up in, I think it was Laura Epke's speech or Adam Kokesh's, one of the two. They said something on Wikipedia. There's something like 40 or 30 or 40 different flavors of libertarians. And we're like, yeah, there's probably more. We're so nuanced. So I thought that was really interesting. What would you do to keep the Libertarian Party of Iowa as inclusive as possible? I forgot who we're on. I think Mike.
Possibly. I'll go ahead and take it, though. I think you have to look at the party as truly a big umbrella party. We have to be able to reach across the aisle, work with, not necessarily work with the parties per se, but be able to grow the party and reach out to them. For example, here in Marion County, I've been cross-posting all of our caucus information on the Republican groups on the Democrats page. Republicans don't mind it. Democrats, they tend to have a little problem, but they did post one of our articles. So, I mean, it's a matter of trying to reach out across the aisle when it comes to recruiting, getting these individuals so that way they can hopefully educate themselves a little bit, learn about being libertarian. Because I think what you're going to find out, most people are going to be libertarian. Most people are going to be about self-governance, are going to have principles similar to what libertarians have. So how can we reach out to them and give them the information that they need, even when they don't expect it? How are we going to sell that to them? So I think you have to build a coalition of individuals across all parties to be able to grow the party. And then ultimately, I think we're already seeing it in multiple areas of the state. And I think we just need to continue that. Right now, there's 38% of Iowans are either third party or independent. That's a huge number. 31% are Democrats, 32% are Republicans, 38% are, they don't know. They don't have a home. They don't feel comfortable with the Democrats. They don't feel comfortable with the Republicans. Those are the people we need to find. Those people that may be following those other pages, they may just be out there looking right now. They may just be an issues person. Maybe we find that one issue, and it's going to be varied depending on where we're at, but we find that one issue that's going to grab them and bring them in. That's what brought me in. It was the reason I left the Republican Party, even though I was building up to it. Our fine governor, Terry Branstad, signed on the fuel tax 5 years ago, almost to the day. I think it was like the 25th of February is when he signed off on a fuel tax increase. That very same day, I registered Libertarian. Wow. So it's about finding those people, showing them that we truly are a big umbrella party and grow them throughout a coalition of different individuals.
Good. Fred, inclusiveness.
I think the biggest thing that we need to do is focus on our similarities, not in our differences. And I think that's something that we've kind of, over the past several years, we've kind of gotten a bad rep on, is that it's rather than, hey, this is how we are the same. These are the issues that bring us together, and they're going to be different when you talk to different groups of people, when I've been running in some nonpartisan races, and there are people that still are caring about, their party affiliations. And they'll be like, well, I'm a Republican or I'm a Democrat. I'm like, oh, well, we're the same with this issue. And then they'll talk to you, as opposed to be like, oh, well, if you don't believe in this, then I don't want to talk to you. And then again, when you open those doors and you can start having those conversations, it makes it a lot easier the next time an issue comes up and you're looking out for other opinions and different perspectives. Even if it's somebody that agrees with you, they might have a different reason on why. And a lot of times that's a big deal too. If you can have an ally because you agree on the same end game, even if you don't agree on the reason why, it's still a win. And those are the people that, when you have so many disenfranchised voters right now that don't feel like they belong to the Republican or Democratic Party, those are the people we need to talk to and like I said, find out, show them how we're the same, instead of focusing on our differences. Absolutely.
Good. Okay. All right. What will you do about certain radical groups such as white supremacists and Antifa using the state party as a way to promote their agenda? Oh, geez.
Ooh, that's fun.
Go ahead, Fred. If we see any Antifa while I'm there, oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Ultimately, it's still going to come down to we have, the party, just like anything else, whether it's a business or any organization, has its own brand you have to protect. And at some point, even if you agree with people and we want to be inclusive, there has to be a line in that you draw in the sand. So if there are specific groups that we don't want to be affiliated with the Libertarian Party, then we need to have the conversations with them, even if it's not necessarily making a huge spectacle out of it. Communicating with these people that, hey, this kind of thing, well, I might agree with you with this issue. It doesn't mean that the rest of the issues that is going to be, this is not the platform for that. So even like we had that gun rally, there was a variety of different reasons and different groups of people that came for it. And we're still all united in one cause, but it doesn't mean that just because some people agree with an issue that they agree with every issue, and that the two should be connected.
Yeah, and I agree. If there's a situation like you mentioned Antifa, let's just say that they do want to align with the Libertarian Party of Iowa. That's something that we as a party, I think, need to look at, come together from a state central committee and really discuss, okay, do we want to accept a sponsorship from Antifa, or do we want to sponsor them? And like Fred said, have a conversation. Let's get down to brass tacks and say, okay, what is it that you align with us? Let's make sure that they're fully educated. They understand what the Libertarian Party stands for. Non-aggression principle, first and foremost. Some people need to understand multiple aspects of it. We may not agree with everything, and that's absolutely fine. There may be, from an individual standpoint, those individuals may fit in with the Libertarian Party. As a group of individuals, that'd be something that I would have to say, we need, these guys want to sponsor us in some way, shape, or form. They want to do a donation to us. Is this something that we as a party want to accept? And I would take this over to my board, to the rest of the state central committee, and say, do we want to do this? This is something that we all need to discuss. This is important.
That's okay. Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to handle it. But let's hope we don't have to deal with that, right, guys?
Yeah.
True.
Shit.
I mean, we all like taking checks, but
Yeah, well. So, okay, the last one I've got from this submitter is, should the mascot of the Libertarian Party of Iowa remain the penguin? That thing is so cute.
It is cool. I'm all for it. If they want, that's what we want to use for the mascot. Okay, I'm cool with that. And if it's going to draw people in and whatever, it's fun. I don't really have a say one way or the other, to be honest with you.
A strong opinion.
neither. This would be a topic for discussion. I unfortunately do not have an opinion on the mascot. It's fine with me, but I understand that people like other ones, and I'm not going to say you can't use that one either. So, I like the porcupine better myself, but.
Yep, I think the porcupine pretty much defines us really well. So, but the penguin's adorable. Print up some T-shirts. I'll buy one.
Should use the narwhal.
Ooh,
narwhal. Why?
I like narwhal.
So you can play the song for every convention.
What's the song?
Narwhals, narwhals. Really, dude? You've never heard the narwhal song? What the hell is wrong with? How are you my co-host?
This is new to me too, so don't feel bad, Joe.
Yeah,
hey,
I'm
thank you.
All right, so everyone, we have a ton of viewers and no questions.
Here's one.
There's one. Just a second.
Myra just popped in. She says, "Do you want to go ahead and read that? It's kind of long, and I've had a couple."
My question for Fred, revolving around the recent situation in Cedar Falls, is my understanding that you actively work to petition to have a libertarian removed from his appointed office. Can you explain? That's a little loaded, but can you explain the situation from your perspective, sir?
That's a pretty loaded question. Actually, I wasn't actively petitioning to have him removed from office. I, from the beginning, was in favor of having an election, doesn't matter who got appointed. I believe that you should have an election for a 2-year term, as opposed to having an appointment. So to me, it's not actively going against the Libertarian. It's standing up for principles, and I believe in elections.
I guess there really isn't a question for Mike there. Do you want to follow up with anything?
Yeah, I can see both sides of it. I absolutely agree that you want to have an election for that type of thing, but at the same time, there's also a lot of money being spent on a special election. Plus, we have a Libertarian in office. We have 2 in Cedar Falls. I think we want to try to maintain that, at least to be able to ensure that we have somebody in place that is going to have Libertarian values in the city. Is it a 2-year term that may not be voted on by the public? Perhaps. I also know we had a similar situation, nowhere near a 2-year term. It was actually like a 2-month term. Here in Knoxville, we had a city councilman step down. And I think that that's a little bit different than the Cedar Falls, just because it was such a short term. But at the same time, though, we're also worried about, spending tax money. And I think that I can see both sides of it. But in the end, I'd rather save a little bit of money, keep a Libertarian office to hopefully save even more money in the long run.
Okay. What is the first thing you would like to accomplish as state chair? Mike, go ahead.
The first thing that I want to accomplish is to try to build organization across the state. That's going to be my priority, is how can we build this, the affiliates? How can we build at the county level to be able to grow the party? It's great if we get major party status again here in Iowa for the election. It's not going to do a damn bit of good if we can't maintain that status. And to be able to do that, we have to be able to go out to rural Iowa, to small towns, small counties like Appanoose County, going down here to Marion, where I'm at right now. We need to be able to reach and expand and grow out to those areas. So first things first, we need to find low-hanging fruit. Take some place like Johnson County, where we have Iowa City. It's a big college town. There's no reason why we can't have a county affiliated party that is active in a college town like Iowa City. That's one of the ones that we finally have a good leader down there. They had I believe 8 people or 7 people possibly at their caucus this last time around. Somebody who's very excited. Benjamin Held is his name. Very excited about the party, very excited about issues and trying to grow the party down there. So I think we need to take that low-hanging fruit, those areas where we have some affiliation, but all we need to do is just try to get it restarted. Pull that string like we're doing a lawnmower. Then after that, take a look at how can we reach out beyond those low-hanging fruits to those counties like a Lucas County, that we finally have an individual down there that wants to really work hard and grow that party. We need to give them the resources, the training to be able to do that. So I think first and foremost is finding out where that low-hanging fruit is, get some training in place, work with corporate, utilize the tools that we have available to us, and to be able to grow the party.
Awesome. Okay. Fred, what is the first thing you would like to accomplish if elected state chair?
Basically work on our communication, make sure everybody's on the same page. Like Mike's put out some really great ideas. Those are awesome ideas. But if we're not getting those to other people, it doesn't matter how great the idea is. So when you're looking at like organizational things, again, I've also been in, retail management forever. There's a lot of times all the managers get together, we'll have a great meeting, and then nobody tells the department heads, nothing changes. I feel like we've got a lot of people that have a lot of great ideas and great motivation and are excited about certain causes, that because somebody's not in one county isn't talking to somebody in a different county. Hey, what did you do that we didn't do? I had this idea, this worked for me, and building that network where we're talking to each other, even if it's a bad idea. Hey, I tried this is a bad idea. Let's not do this again, so that somebody doesn't repeat the same mistake.
That's
you
a
know,
really good point. Telling each other about things that don't work.
yeah. So, again, it's a communication thing across the board, and just making sure that everybody's on the same page.
Okay. So this is something that we here in Nebraska struggle with as well. Mike's brought up brought it up a couple times now. What is the best way to reach the voters in the rural areas? Because Nebraska and Iowa, we're lousy with them. Fred?
It's going to start off getting somebody down there, again, making sure that you have, even if it's an opportunity with, whether it's media, whether it is going to events, most rural areas are going to have like different trade type shows, having somebody go to those. I can promise you there's a gun show somewhere in one of these rural Iowa towns. Somebody, getting somebody to go to these kind of events, it's just where you're going to have something in common. And then again, focusing on things that we're the same on. A lot of people don't know they even have any other options, and that's just really sad sometimes. Like I said, I'll talk to a lot of people in Iowa that'll be like, well, I've always voted Republican because I'm for gun rights. Well, what about everything else? Well, that's my most important thing, but I don't really like half this other stuff, but I don't want, the Democrats to take my guns away. I was like, well, let me tell you about our party, and they're like, oh, well, I did not know that was a thing. Or, it's again, reaching those people on common ground issues and expanding and not turning it into this purity test where, well, hey, I would love to have you join, but you're only 95% libertarian, so we can't have you join.
Yep, I would totally agree with that. That's got to stop. Mike?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. We need to get people down there. I think first and foremost, we need leadership at the state level to help organize that. I think, again, I'm going to go back to what I'm doing right now in the 2nd district. We didn't have any organization. We need district leaders that are going to be out and about, trying to recruit, trying to find these people to be able to lead those counties. Working with the people like Brandon Molyneux out in Mahaska and say, okay, this is where you're at right now. What support can we provide? Let's try to get some consistency between the counties. One thing I wouldn't be opposed to is taking a look at how other states are handling it. Let's say, for example, the way their regional structure, Minnesota, for example, has their regional structure. Maybe that's a route that we'd want to go. Pennsylvania, super successful when it comes to trying getting people elected into office. Let's find out what they're doing right. I think we need to be able to take a look at other states, work with the national level at the other states, and ultimately get some consistency here in the state, have that organization in place at the state level to be able to expand our reach and expand our message. Also, we need to find issues that are going to resonate with the rural voters. Let's face it, the drug legalization, that's going to be fantastic in metropolitan areas. But is Farmer Joe going to have those same concerns? No, they're going to have different concerns. It may be the economy, it may be the environment, maybe something else. How would the libertarians handle that? So I think we need to be able to pinpoint different ways that we can reach out to these rural individuals. We don't have to have the same message, but we can consistently try to deliver it, and how we go about doing that from an organizational standpoint.
Okay. So what are you guys 2-year goals? Because you guys, is your SEC a 2-year position? Okay. Mm-hmm. Mike?
Again, I have a plan in place as far as county organizations. I think within 2 years, we need to have at least 75% of our counties affiliated, if not more. I would love to have all 99 affiliated. Right now, we're sitting at about 25% of our counties affiliated. The majority of those counties that are affiliated are within 20 miles of a metropolitan area. So you have wide gaps within the state where there just is not any representation from the county parties. And we need to grow that. So we need to have that low-hanging fruit first. We need to be able to have some training in place and have a solid organization, exactly what needs to be done in a county, have documentation and say, this is how we start a county affiliate. This is how we start our Facebook pages. This is an organizational structure that we have. We need to have some documentation in place to be able to grow and train and reach those individuals at the county level and organize. And we need to recruit, find those people who are excited out there, like a Brandon Molyneux. I'm going to bring him up a lot because he's fantastic. He just did a great interview with the Oskaloosa Herald. or for the county caucus, and it's all about trying to train. That's somebody I've been working with. Chayton Wendler up in Cedar Rapids is somebody who's super excited. I think he'd be fantastic at that state level. But let's get him so that way we can try to mold and try to train and try to get these individuals to be leaders of the party and not just somebody who's going to be a follower. We need to have that organization in place. So that's my goal in the 2 years, is to have a firm structure of county affiliates, even if we have to go to, let's say, a quad county affiliate. Down here in southern Iowa, you have counties with very little population. Most of it is farming communities. So maybe that's where we have like a Lucas, a Wayne, an Appanoose, a Clark, all together in a quad, in a 4-county party. And we start out with that and then expand beyond it. So we need to have that affiliation in some way, shape, or form across the state.
For me, for 2-year goals, there's really 2 main ones. I definitely agree that we should have an organizational system going forward. I just hope using that organizational system and get to some other, I guess, big goals for me would be working on like using our budget in a more effective way. Maybe it's all sitting down together and saying, okay, 5% of what we generate in contribution this year goes into this account, and this is for local candidates running for office. Another percent would be used for this, so that we have goals of what we're doing with the money that we raise it for. Sometimes people ask me, hey, I'd like to donate to the state party. What's it for? Like when we were trying to come together to try to get that, that money to get Jake on a debate stage. If we had some sort of this percentage of this goes in this, we can tell people where their money's going, which might help people who want to donate, have a reason to then just writing us a check and they don't know what it's doing. Other one would be actively recruiting, not just local candidates or local people like that we're meeting, but also going after people that are already candidates that may already have an affiliation and trying to get them to flip over to our side. Whether it's, somebody like Joe Walsh that we want to go talk to and say, hey, why don't you come over and check us out? We're more aligned with you than the Republicans are, or than somebody else is with the Democrats, something along those lines, where somebody who's already got their foot in the door, and then getting them to try to commit to us. It's not always going to work, but it doesn't hurt to try. But in order to do that, you have to be comfortable developing these kinds of relationships and be willing to go across the aisle and talk to these people instead of just trolling them all the time.
Okay.
I just to kind of go to that as well, I agree. We absolutely need to be able to recruit. We also need to vet. We need to make sure that these individuals are truly going to represent our principles. You mentioned Joe Walsh. I worry about him because he just said, hey, vote Democrat or don't vote. That's the only option. He very well could have said you have those third parties. He's coming out and saying, I'd rather vote for a socialist than Donald Trump. Joe Walsh is not somebody who is a libertarian. He's not somebody that we should have in our party. That's not somebody that I want representing the Libertarian Party. And I think most libertarians would agree with that. Does that mean that he can't come over here and maybe earn his way into the party? Sure, if he wants to do that. But to step right up in Joe Walsh's case and say, hey, I'm going to be running for president. Lincoln Chafee, hey, I'm running for president. You have to prove to me, because principles are number one, in my opinion. You can have name recognition all you want, but if you don't have the principles in place, and if you're saying you'd rather have a socialist than Trump in office, you have another option right over here with the third party, with libertarians, where you can have the best of both worlds. You don't have to have a socialist and you don't have to have Trump. Is it realistic? Maybe not. But at least it represents principles. And that's what my primary concern would be. They want to come over. They want to do their time. They want to really support libertarianism. I have no problem as long as they're properly vetted.
So are you kind of, are you going on Myra's question here, or?
I think that's kind of where we were going, because and he mentioned as far as recruiting, so I was going to that as well. So kind of bleeding into that a little bit, I guess. But that was more of an answer in terms of getting the right people.
So I think that Mike got to jump in there. So Fred, if you want to respond to that.
Fred, because that's always a question when it comes to people coming over from another party. Like, how do we vet them? What are your thoughts on that?
And everybody's going to get into that issue, and I understand the vetting thing, but that was also what I was talking about, the being able to stop I don't know, trying to stop people from joining if they agree with you more often than not. It's if it turns into the purity test, you know, everybody, like I said, has their different flavors, and some will say, well, this isn't libertarian. So it's to me, it's still about having, you know, welcoming more people in, and then trying to figure out where they're at. I completely understand if you're saying, hey, you got to prove it to me. Yeah, make them.
Well, we're
prove it to
talking
you.
more about people coming in and running for office right away, not just coming into the party.
Okay. I mean, that I would let them have an opportunity to present their case. I mean, we still have to, you know, to vote on this. So I don't have a problem with somebody wanting to come over and run for president. You know, there are as many people that might be anti Chaffee or Walsh or Flippin that are anti Berman. You know, just because if we say, hey, it has to be somebody that everybody's going to like or that everybody agrees with for whatever that this point is. It's going to narrow our field down. I'd rather have more options, let people pick and see what, you know, we're going to end up voting on that. And so if they don't pass the test for us, they don't pass the test for us, but it doesn't hurt to give them a chance.
Okay. Fair enough. So, sorry, I gave Mike a couple minutes to talk about you guys' upcoming convention. Do you have anything you want to add, Fred? I didn't mean to.
No, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. It should be an exciting time. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to that forum. You know, again, to see all the different flavors that we can, you know, and just to see what their feedback is, and be nice to meet people in person, because sometimes it's really easy to read something and it's a whole nother thing when you meet them. So I'm just looking forward to seeing everybody, listening to everybody, and then on, you know, Saturday morning getting some business done, and figuring out what we're going to do, what direction we're going, because I think it's going to be a different state convention than previous ones, where like we have a lot of changes that are going to end up happening. So just trying to see what direction that we're going to be heading in.
Okay. Well, I wish you guys both the best of luck.
Thank
And
you.
I hope you guys can get some new fresh blood on your board and get those seats filled. But I look forward to seeing you guys and everybody in Iowa. I'm so excited.
Can't wait to see you as well.
I have a question, like a really important question. If later this week, Dre and I went and bought an apartment in Council Bluffs just for a mailing address, could we run for chair in Iowa?
You have to, if you're a registered libertarian for 6 consecutive months, you would be eligible.
So we have to do it between now and the next convention and give ourselves 6 months.
You may want to prepare for the next time around, 2 years, like you mentioned. You may want to prepare for that, but you're welcome to. I think it'd be fantastic. Right. More the merrier.
Over the board, why not?
But only if you really want to, not just because if no one's going to do it.
I guess I'll do it. Yeah, I know. How often do you hear that shit? If nobody else is going to do it.
Okay, that's not fair, because that's basically how I became Sarpy County chair. It was like Nathan sitting there like, I really don't want to do this again, guys. And everyone else is like, we're not doing it. So it's like, well, let's try this nonsense again. Definitely. Hey, everyone who's watching us, Roads to Liberty is going to go live in about 10 minutes with Tom
Woods.
Tom Wood. Yeah, sorry. I'm bad with names. So yeah, definitely check that out. Go give them some love. Thank you guys for coming on tonight. And sorry for the weird like stop and start with this, trying to get this scheduled.
Yeah, I really appreciate you letting us on.
So this was supposed to happen back in December. And then I got sick and injured at the same time. And then I completely forgot about it because I was in such a bad shape. And then Dre's like, hey, whatever happened with this thing? And I'm like, go ahead and book it. I'm kind of a mess. So she did. And then she got hurt the day of the, what day was that? Like the second we were supposed to do this? God. And now we're finally doing it. Thank you both. This was an awesome time.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you guys. Really appreciate you having us on.
Absolutely. I look forward to seeing you guys.
Right. Everyone, check us out tomorrow. Who do we have tomorrow?
I believe it's Sam Robb.
Yes, we're back to presidential candidates. Don't worry, it's not a full-time thing. We're still spacing things out. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Thank you, Iowa. Fred and Mike, good luck.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.